The following is produced by 5 Star Productions USA, which is solely responsible for its editorial content and is sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care.
Very nice hair. When my friend Ed Begley Jr. offered me the chance to host the show, I saw it as an opportunity to encourage people in my own way to become involved in the various causes that help the environment. Hello, I'm John Paul DeGioia of John Paul Mitchell Systems. Join me this week on Today's Environment as we take a look at others that are also making a difference.
Today, City Council
Reducing
9,000
reducing air pollutants by
a milestone.
30%. Educational programs.
We can help change this world by what we purchase. Last year we saved 50,000 dolphins by buying dolphin-safe tuna. There are many publications like these that offer advice on environmentally responsible shopping. Check your bookstore or library for the publications which will help you get more involved. On the next segment, you'll see how someone is doing their part.
Recycling newspapers is something that many of us do at home because we know it reduces the amount of solid waste that must be disposed of in landfills and cuts air pollution by keeping this material out of incinerators. However, Conaca believes there are a lot of things we can do at the office to help the environment. For example, placing a recycling bin next to the copy and fax machines is a start. By keeping the waste paper separated from the garbage, it can be put into the recycling stream with very little extra effort. This paper can also be reused in the office. Simply cut it in half or fourths and use the clean side for quick notes and memos. By taking an extra moment to make sure that an original is properly aligned, you can eliminate having to copy the same page twice. Waste can also be reduced by only making the required number of copies. Another way to conserve paper is to use machines that print on both sides of the page. This alone can cut your usage in half. But in order for the recycling system to work, you also have to purchase recycled paper. For example, Conaca is offering recycled paper for sale in its current line of copiers and fax machines, as well as for use in its own offices nationwide. This 20-pound paper, which meets federal EPA standards, contains 50% waste products, including 10% post-consumer fiber. It also meets performance standards demanded for use even in high-speed machines. In an effort to promote environmental awareness, trees will be planted at the Weyerhaeuser Plymouth, North Carolina tree farm in the names of customers who purchased the recycled paper. But recycling, reusing, and conserving are only the beginning. The company manufactures office machines that use environmentally friendly organic drums and low ozone and reduced noise emissions technologies. In yet another environmental effort, mini labs are being introduced as improvements in photo finishing equipment. The Nice Print system features the first washless technology. This system significantly reduces the amount of water used and allows the recapture of all waste effluents. More recently, the ACR-40 overflow elimination system has been added. It incorporates resource recovery and waste management right into the photo finishing process and reduces the overflow solution to about 1/10 of the original volume. The silver-rich material recovered from the system is sent to a recycling plant for refining, while the water is reused to mix all but color developer replenishment chemicals. This provides mini labs with the ability to be virtually a zero-discharge operation. Designed to be quiet and odorless, the new unit fits under the counter-height printer processor workstation. And since the system uses low-temperature evaporation, it avoids the generation of toxic gases. As the total volume of color film and paper used worldwide continues to increase, new photo finishing technology and recycling efforts like Conaca's are helping the environment.
At John Paul Mitchell Systems, we are environmentally conscious when it comes to packaging and distributing our products. Be considerate of the environment, and when you shop, check a product's packaging before you buy it and see if it isn't recycled or recyclable. Buy a product with packaging that is. Now let's take a look at a company with another solution.
Sulfuric acid sometimes is referred to as the king of chemicals because of its many uses in a broad range of products, from fertilizer to detergent to dyes for clothing. Over 50 years ago, during World War II, sulfur became a rare commodity. A need developed to find a way to regenerate or recycle used sulfuric acid, which at the time was sent to landfill sites, into a high-quality commercial product. A company known as Rhone-Poulenc Basic Chemical Company pioneered an innovative process in 1943 by establishing the first sulfuric acid recycling or regeneration plant in the world, based in Houston, Texas. The Basic Chemicals Division, headquartered in Shelton, Connecticut, has become an international leader in regenerated acid technology. The original chemical firm began producing virgin sulfuric acid from sulfur in the early 1900s to meet the country's demands. Today, the company regenerates more than 6.6 million tons of sulfuric acid yearly, while also producing more than 6 million tons of virgin acid annually from its 6 U.S.-based facilities. They've now become the #1 regenerator of the sulfuric acid oil companies use to make unleaded gasoline. Spent sulfuric acid and molten sulfur enter the furnace, heated at 1800 to 2000 degrees Fahrenheit, producing sulfur dioxide gas. Hot gases are cooled in a boiler to produce steam for plant operations and then further cooled and cleansed in the gas purification system. Clean gas enters the acid production section where sulfur dioxide is converted to sulfur trioxide gas and then reacted with water to form sulfuric acid. While the process for handling liquid pumpable hazardous waste mirrors the sulfuric acid regeneration process, there is a higher degree of local, state, and federal regulatory control, including what enters the plant for treatment, the actual processing of the material, and the lack of visible emissions exiting the plant. The company strives at every step to protect human health and the environment with strict internal standards. Waste shipments are analyzed and scheduled several weeks in advance so that the company knows what materials to expect. Once the material arrives at the plant, it's again analyzed to verify that it can be safely processed and that it matches the material represented by the customer. This is accomplished by making a fingerprint of the material in the laboratory and matching it against previous shipments of the same materials. The process destroys all hazardous constituents with an efficiency greater than 99.99%. In an initiative devised by the Chemical Manufacturers Association, they've joined the Responsible Care Program, committed to diminishing the negative impact of products on people and the environment during their entire life cycle, from design, research, and production through their distribution and use by consumers. The bottom line is that Rhone-Poulenc looks to remain a good friend to its neighboring communities and the environment.
I have always demanded that my products maintain a cruelty-free policy by not being tested on animals. For more information on companies that maintain this policy, contact the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals in New York City or PETA in Washington, D.C., and support those companies. Let's look at another way to protect the environment.
Since 1968, when oil was first discovered on Alaska's North Slope, developing improved technologies for the management of oil field wastes has been an ongoing challenge to minimize environmental impact. The harsh climate and remote setting have presented unique conditions for the exploration and development of oil fields. The oil industry's future expansion opportunities in Alaska's Arctic depends in part on its ability to reduce and improve the management of wastes derived from drilling wells. Whenever a well is drilled, a waste stream, notable for its large volume of drilling muds and rock cuttings, is created. Traditionally, muds and cuttings have been placed in surface waste disposal areas, known as reserve pits. In 1988, BP Exploration, operator of the western half of Prudhoe Bay and Endicott oil fields, which accounts for 1/4 of the U.S. domestic oil production, began operation of an innovative drilling waste management facility. In response to environmental concerns, the technique developed either washes and reuses or crushes the rock fragments produced during the drilling process into a fine-grained material, which is mixed with waste drilling muds and injected back into the earth where it came from. Significant benefits resulted from recycling muds and re-injecting them in cuttings while eliminating potential surface pollution. The size of the well pads are dramatically reduced, as much as 75% with the removal of the reserve pits, and as a result, less wildlife habitat is covered by gravel pads and drilling waste. Additional developments in drilling technology have also contributed to minimizing the oil industry's footprint on the North Slope by being able to place wells just 10 to 35 feet apart versus the 110 feet needed in past years. Another plus is the reuse of cleaned coarse cuttings as construction gravel, which eliminates the need to dispose of up to 50% of it from the well and minimize disturbance of the tundra areas from expanding existing gravel pits. By drilling exploration wells using ice roads and pads during winter and re-injecting the wastes, the natural tundra can be left completely undisturbed after drilling is completed, leaving nothing but the required wellhead marker. Another key element in waste disposal advancements is the safe removal and disposing of naturally occurring radioactive material, or NORM. Radium, which is found everywhere in the earth, can be concentrated in pipe scale in oil production systems. Since they may register minimal radiation, some people and organizations are concerned. BP developed a hydroblasting system to safely remove the material without any of it being released into the environment. Once it is removed, it is ground and injected thousands of feet deep back into the earth where it came from. This technique has been applauded by the oil industry, regulators, and the environmental activist community as the most environmentally sound and cost-effective approach to the removal and disposal of NORM materials. Wildlife and habitat research will continue to play a major role in environmental protection to find the best ways that animals and oil development can coexist.
Before you decide to do the wash, remember you can save a lot of water by waiting until you have a full load. Washers use an astonishing 59 gallons of water per cycle. Since almost 90% of the energy used for washing clothes is used for heating the water, you can do your part and use cold water. The following is another company making a positive impact.
With more than half of all Americans getting their drinking water from underground sources, groundwater pollution is considered by the EPA to be one of the nation's greatest environmental hazards. Prehistoric man first removed water from the surface of the earth with a hollow reed, thereby inventing the first vertical well. Very little water can be recovered from the superficial zone with the vertical wells. However, Horizontal Well Systems, a division of Horizontal Technologies Incorporated, has developed and patented unique technology that uses horizontal wells to capture, recover, and recycle groundwater, while effectively reducing the volume of water that would normally have to be recovered. This linear contaminant remediation system places the horizontal pipe in saturated soils and reinstalls the removed soils back in the excavation in one continuous operation, limiting contaminated soil and water disposal. The horizontal well operation is revolutionizing the cleanup of contaminated groundwater in superficial water tables and is especially suitable for groundwater remediation at oil storage tank farms, gasoline stations, and landfills. Recent announcements by the Clinton administration about military base closings and quick cleanup focusing on the environment have become top priorities. The horizontal well systems are presently in action dealing with the jet fuel spillage problems at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. This system versus the vertical wells can cut budgets by 50% and reduce the cleanup time by 60%. Originally designed to ease water removal at construction sites, this system has now become useful for beach stabilization and irrigation applications. Several expensive erosion control technologies have been developed in recent years to save our beaches, but these solutions have only been temporary. The horizontal dewatering process, however, removes water from the beach while prolonging its existence. It also reduces the beach renourishment programs that have become very costly to taxpayers. Potable water and its sources are major concerns in many areas of the country. Citrus groves, for instance, have both a water quality and quantity problem. Containment of toxic chemicals at a site is a real problem, and the horizontal wells provide a distinct advantage in this area too. This new method of getting water out of the ground will reduce the strain on the so-called drinking water aquifers. This system is used to recover and recycle surface water. The groundwater, recharged by the rain, is pumped out and reused through an irrigation system. It's also possible that some of the fertilizers that have been leaked into the soil will be recovered by the system and reused when the water is pumped out of the ground and then put back. Golf course irrigation has been a major focus of this process, offering greens and fairways excellent water quality at a greatly reduced cost.
Water-related problems are of a major concern. The future of our planet largely depends upon having adequate supplies of clean, fresh water. Every living thing in the world needs fresh water. We have spent the last 7 years developing technologies that address these problems and providing the world access to a large freshwater resource. Through research and development, Horizontal Technologies of Cape Coral, Florida will continue its quest to leave a legacy for mankind.
Many environmental remediation experts believe a large portion of their industry's future lies just below the surface, in the nation's polluted aquifers.
In the last 2 years, the number of companies making recyclable products has increased more than 10 times, and the number of recycled products has been increased even more. It's important that we look for the recycle logo and buy that product. Here is a company that has found a way to be environmentally responsible.
There are numerous laws to help protect our environment. Unfortunately, many of them get broken from time to time, and littering tops the list. Although some is caused by reckless and irresponsible acts, a large part of the problem is attributed to otherwise law-abiding citizens. Individual acts might seem trivial, but when you add up all the trash on roadways, vacant lots, and waterways, the amount is staggering. Not only is it unsightly, but littering can also lead to difficulties with wildlife entrapment. Scenes like this have come to symbolize our environmental hazards, and the common six-pack ring carrier has taken much of the blame. However, when we looked into the problem, this is what we found. In a national beach sweep in 1991, more than 130,000 volunteers cleared about 4,300 miles of coastline. When the results were tabulated by the Center for Marine Conservation, there were only 3 reported cases of wildlife entanglement involving six-pack rings. To find out more, we visited the ITW High Cone plant in Itasca, Illinois. They invented the six-pack ring in the early 60s in response to the need for minimizing packaging with achieving maximum benefits. Today, 30% less plastic is used in its makeup than the original design. These rings are not only used for soda and other beverages, but they have found acceptance for a variety of products because they're the epitome of minimal packaging and meet the needs of consumers and manufacturers. Recycling has always been an important part of the high cone process from the very beginning. This further reduces the need for virgin materials. Scraps from manufacturing are shredded and put back into the system. There is no waste. Since 1990, the company has also instituted several post-consumer recycling programs. For example, it buys back the used six-pack rings from the companies that service soda vending machines. This market makes recycling easy, cost-effective, and most important, successful. In another innovative recycling program, children are being taught environmental responsibility with these recycling trees at more than 1,500 elementary schools. The students bring the rings from home and hang them on the tree. When the trees are full, the rings are sent to the recycling plant to be made into new carriers. The company has also done two other things to the six-pack ring to make them even better for the environment. A simple pull tab has been added. Now, when a can is removed, the ring is broken and the risk to wildlife is eliminated. In addition, the non-toxic plastic is formulated to photodegrade on land and on water. Exposed to sunlight, the carriers become brittle and fall apart in a matter of weeks. Consumers and bottlers like six-pack rings for their convenience and low cost, but now we're beginning to recognize that they're indeed helping to solve problems like reduction of source materials and waste disposal. But these benefits are only realized when people recycle instead of litter.
In 1988, I raced a car across Australia powered only by the sun. Today, solar energy can be used in our everyday lives for such things as lighting, heating, and even cooling our homes. Find out how solar energy can be a part of your life. The following is another way to help preserve our environment.
Every year, America's towns and cities spend vast sums of money treating municipal wastewater. Industry is also faced with the task of purifying waters that contain toxic chemicals and other contaminants. In Kalamazoo, Michigan, this problem has been tackled by a new technology that not only treats wastewater effectively, but also minimizes sludge, the byproduct left over for disposal. The river suffered from especially heavy discharges of industrial wastewater from paper mills, pharmaceutical companies, and other manufacturers, problems common to many urban areas. Facing stringent new water quality regulations, the city expanded and updated its wastewater treatment plant. Kalamazoo turned to Zimpro Environmental for assistance. Based in Rothschild, Wisconsin, the company specializes in municipal and industrial wastewater treatment facilities. Using its modern laboratories, they studied samples of the wastewater. Other samples were treated in its fully operational pilot plant. These test results and other extensive studies enabled the company to custom design an advanced technology treatment system for the city. Zimpro provided Kalamazoo with a unique system called PACT. PACT uses powdered activated carbon, which is mixed with wastewater during the treatment process. The powdered carbon, a natural and powerful adsorbent, dramatically enhances the performance of the treatment system. The carbon also attracts and removes non-biodegradable and toxic pollutants, often found in industrial wastewater. It eventually becomes saturated with pollutants and is allowed to settle with the other solid contaminants in huge basins. This material is called sludge. It is then pumped through a unique wet air oxidation system where the sludge is safely broken down into water and carbon dioxide. The result is a small amount of ash for disposal and pollutant-free carbon that can be used again. The regenerated carbon is then reintroduced into the treatment process through the PACT system. Though some virgin carbon must be periodically added to the procedure, the cost is modest compared to that of disposing of large quantities of sludge. After filtration and chlorination, this is how the effluent now looks: clean, pollution-free. Kalamazoo's PACT system treats more than 35 million gallons per day and is proving to be quite effective. What was once a city liability is now an asset: significantly cleaner water and no sludge. A multifaceted environmental problem solved by unique technology.
So you see what I mean about all this junk mail? You know, Americans receive over 2 million tons of junk mail every year, and nearly half of this is never opened. Contact the Mail Preference Service at the Direct Mail Marketing Association in New York City and tell them that you want junk mail stopped. If only 100,000 people joined in this cause, we could save 150,000 trees every year. I'm John Paul DeGioia. Join me next time when we explore more ways to make a difference on today's environment. See what I mean? They just keep on sending.
If you know of any interesting environmental success stories, call us at 407-997-9800. This has been a presentation of 5 Star Productions USA. The preceding program was sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care.